Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we got a fun 90s retro. Well, actually, it's a remake of the 90s. Yeah. It's bringing back the fun from the 90s. It's Venom Rex, which is I think it's the first Venom like ongoing title since like the 90s.
Yeah.
And this was super fun. I like it a lot. The reason why we kind of picked this was because there's a name I've been hearing around the water cooler of comics named Donny Cates. And he is a writer that I do not know anything about, because the only Marvel comic I read is Conan. So yeah, I miss other stuff going on sometimes. But
well, you were talking. It was like he reboots and does really well with characters that you never really would like have gone after. So it's like
yeah, like when I was a kid, I liked Venom, and then when I grew up, I was just like, yeah, Venom's cool, but like. I mean, if you're just reading the old stories or like if you're rebooting it and not doing anything new with it, yeah, it's just Venom, whatever, who cares? And like how many symbiotes can you make? You know, it's like the thing that Venom did was he was the first one, right? And then it would be like, but now there's a new one, you know, like that's kind of all they did with Venom.
That's true. I in a little bit of this, like looking up, kind of catching and seeing what Venom has been like, I was like, I remember seeing, like, I never really read pretty much any of the things between like the 90s to today with Venom either. Like I've seen photos of some, but I was like, oh wow, yeah, there's like 5 other like main symbiotes that are like not necessarily on the level of Venom, but like they have names and stories,
right? And
it's like, oh well, they're all the same thing basically, aren't they?
Yeah, like
that's a little. I mean, I'm sure they have a little bit different personalities and a little bit different power, but it's
a symbiote person, you know. Oh, Carnage is crazier than than Venom. And he's red, not black. So, and Venom was like a story. Oh, we should preface this with John's air conditioner broke at his house, so he had to bring his dogs along. So if you hear dogs barking, just welcome the little change.
Yeah, they're just trying to give their input, and we just don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. They read it and they loved it, so they gave it 4 barks up. So, but yeah, So the only thing I've read Venom wise, like, so I watched the TV with Spider-Man animated show when I was a kid. I've read the original like arc from Todd McFarlane and stuff with Venom, and then in the 2000s I read some of the Spider-Man Venom story or anti-Venom story. There was like an anti-Venom. It was like the new. How are we gonna freshen this character up? What if there was an anti-Venom? So I read some of that and I was like, it's fine, whatever. It's not like my thing. I'm not a giant Spider-Man fan, so I know everybody's freaking the fuck out right now for me saying that, but I'm not a giant Spider-Man fan. So he's okay. He can be very cool.
Number 1 comic book character.
I know. I just don't care. And so yeah, like the Venom is a cooler version of Spider-Man, from my childhood. So I thought he was pretty badass when I was like 5. I was like, dude, he looks fucking awesome. I'm like, I wish I had cool black symbiote suit or whatever, So, but this is, I guess, the first time someone actually did something different and new, and they actually like gave like an origin story to the symbiotes. And why they're there.
Yeah, more than just like from a planet.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even say that. They just said like, oh, he picked up this thing on a planet when Secret Wars happened in the 80s. Okay. What is it? Like no one ever thought like, how about we give it like an origin or something, And I think even later on they go into like an origin of like Eddie Brock's like hang-ups, like why he becomes like a hero eventually. Like why him and Venom actually fight crime or whatever, because in this, it's already past like when he's. So if anyone doesn't know, at first Venom's a bad guy, and Spider-Man, you probably saw Spider-Man 3 or such where that happens, and then like eventually he becomes like a good guy-ish, like he'll save people or whatever, and that's Eddie Brock saving people with him or whatever, and but it's not like they'll kill people that are bad or whatever, like, so they don't care about that. But they, I guess he ends up being a hero in a sorts, kind of like Punisher or something. And so, what do you think of the start of this book?
Oh,
the first page of this book.
The first page of this book it partially got me into this. There's like Norse kind of Viking figures, and they're like running away, screaming from something, obviously, and then they're calling out they're like, Beowulf, help! Where we need you. And I'm like,
where are you, Beowulf? It's literally like
it's a Venom comic. What's going on?
It's all these Norsemen like holding a door, and it's like boom, and you see like Venom slime coming through, like kind of the cracks in the door and stuff. They're like, Beowulf, where are you? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what comic is this? So yeah, like, it's very cool. They actually tie in, like, this is a real story that happened. Like, Beowulf is true. And it's somehow tied into like the Venom universe. But what happens is it opens with this like couple panels, and like all these people getting killed. And that scene is actually not the scene of the Norsemen like fighting or holding a door inside of like a keep is actually in Beowulf. And so that was cool that he references that. And then we find out that it's like Eddie Brock wakes up and he's like, whew, that was a crazy fucking dream. Like he's been having these dreams. Something's been going on. He's been getting like it's also cool. Like Venom talks to him in his head. So like he has like a conversation with himself all the time. And like so he can tell something's wrong with Venom. Like he's been acting weird and he's been getting like this is what Eddie Brock's saying. Like, oh yeah, like something's wrong. He's like scared a lot. And like he has to take Eddie Brock has to take like I don't know if they're like I don't want to call them crazy pills.
Some kind of head quieting pills.
I think it's just like pills for like depression or psychotic thoughts or whatever. And that's how he kind of dims down Venom so he can actually like just wear the suit and be like himself inside the suit, but not having Venom talk to him the whole time. They also set up like, okay, in case you didn't know, Venom's scared of loud noises and stuff because there's like a thunderstorm going on. And when Venom was talking to Eddie, it's like, are you scared? It's just thunder. He's like, scared or whatever, like, I'm scared, Eddie. Like, so yeah. And then, like Eddie's like, okay, something's going on. I'm going to like go patrol or whatever. So he like goes out.
Yeah. Oh, he hears the radio. He's like, their police reports like scanning or whatever.
Yeah. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to go. And it turns out there's this bad guy named Jack-o'-lantern who looks fucking ridiculous. I was like, is this a real bad guy? I didn't, yeah.
He's kind of along the lines of like, he's so like, Hobgoblin is the like lesser Green Goblin, and he would be like the lesser Hobgoblin.
Is he like the great grandson of Osborn or something?
I don't remember like what his character is, but he at one point he has like a glider thing too, and
all right.
Some Spider-Man villains they start to
all right. It's like a dude in a suit, like a normal bad guy suit with a cape and everything, but he's got like a pumpkin head
that's on fire.
And he's like, he's like selling guns and stuff to like some bad guys, and then Eddie Brock's like, okay, I'm taking pictures of all this shit, and the guys get like busted by the cops, and I guess he's just taking photos for like money, like he's not really trying to like be a hero and like stop anybody. But then the cops, or I guess the Jack-o'-lantern gets the jump on the cops, and he like shoots one of them, and he runs away. And then he's like, fuck, I gotta like, stop him. So then he becomes Venom, and he like just starts like beating the shit out of the guy. And Venom's like, oh man, like I finally get to let loose kind of thing. Like I guess he's been like, hidden in the pills for a long time. So yeah, and then like, I don't know, you kind of just see like how he's not really, he hasn't really been able to release for a long time. And the cops are chasing him, and he pushes out his eyes, right? Like he actually puts out the dude's eyes.
He looks like he like tries to.
He puts like a full mountain on the dude, like like from Game of Thrones. He just like puts his fucking eyes out.
Trying to gouge his eyes out. Yeah, and even Eddie's kind of like, whoa, like we should probably.
Yeah, like what the hell? And then the cops start shooting at him because like, holy shit, there's a monster. And then he turns around and it's like this weird badass looking like crazy Venom. And so it's I should describe it like, okay, it looks like Venom, but he's got red instead of white as the spider symbol on the front. He's got like red veins running all through him, and then instead of eyes, he's got like this weird spiral.
Red spiral, yeah.
Yeah, this red spiral, and he's speaking some crazy language.
It's in the bubbles are in red now, and then it's all jaggedy looking caricatures. So you can't tell what it is. This is cool. I had seen pictures in like pops of this character, and I was like, well, he's a creepy looking Venom. I wonder what that is. So it's cool to see him pop up finally. That we get his background of what this is,
right? And then like the cops like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And then he like starts to try to attack the cops, and all of a sudden like this thing goes boop and like shoots him in the head, and then it starts beeping, and then you see like a hand like push a button, and then the big explosion. I assume those cops are fucking dead too right now.
Yeah, because that was huge.
Because they were in the alley when this exploded, and the explosion was gigantic. So yeah, then like Eddie Brock is kind of knocked out. And he wakes up and he's in like this room with this dude, and there's like these speakers on either side of him that are putting like what the guy says is like a low bass frequency that like makes the Venom not want to come out. And then like there's a fire, like a furnace behind him. So it's like a Freddy Krueger furnace behind him where you can like shove a whole body in it or whatever. And the dude introduces himself as like Rex, and he's like I'm like basically I worked with the government and something's going on.
Yeah.
And they're like,
the image, it was like the same project that birthed Captain America. It was a Project Rebirth.
Yeah. And like basically it was like the government found a piece of a symbiote somewhere, and like they cut it up and they like put it on a bunch of soldiers, and then they became like super soldiers that were like just Venom soldiers basically. And then they all went crazy eventually. Like they all just like went mad, except this dude.
Yeah, Rex Strickland.
Rex Strickland, is that it?
Yeah. Not a Strickland propane, just to make that clear.
propane accessories. Yeah, so then he's like, I need your help because basically they captured the other ones and they're all crazy, and then there's something, they're moving them, and so I need you to like break them free. And I think also he's like, that's why, and that's kind of like why you're having nightmares and shit, is because like they started fucking with us, and like we're all now in like the same vicinity. So and the symbiotes like talk to each other, like, or they can like, they're like of a hive mind kind of thing. So Eddie Brock's like, okay, I guess we can do that. So he is very cool. This was a very cool shot. He like goes to this tunnel where they're transporting him, and they're like driving full speed, and Eddie Brock's just standing in the middle of the street, and they're in like a semi truck, and Eddie Brock's just like, all right, and the truck's just like, burr, burr, and it's still going full speed because it's like a government truck and it's not going to stop for anybody. And then all of a sudden he Venoms out, and the truck hits him, and it just like,
yeah, crushes, and you see the guys like fly out the windshield.
It was very cool.
That was a cool paint.
I gotta say, the art was really good. For someone I didn't ever know him, the art is by a guy named Ryan Stegman. I never heard of this dude before, and I thought he did a really good job. Like very, very good. So it wasn't like, oh man, this is like, like, oh, I could totally tell this dude's style from anybody else, but it was just like super solid. Like I could see him if he did a bunch of books, I would be very happy, because the art, this is different than most of the Marvel art I've seen recently. So it's like everything makes sense, and he did a really good job. But yeah, so like he like stops the truck, and then he goes around the back to like open up the back, and when he does, all of a sudden the doors burst open, and there's all these giant all the other what are they called, the psycho Venoms, I guess. Yeah. The soldiers that were all psycho, and they start speaking to him in a crazy language, and then they're trying to get him to like fight, and Brock's like, I'm gonna like freak, I don't want the Venom to come out and like become one of these things. So he like kind of runs at them, and then they like stab him through the chest and kill Eddie Brock. Which is like this first episode, or the first issue, you're like, holy shit, they kill Eddie Brock. And then, but he like, it's funny, I like this, Venom comes out and he's like, it's okay, Eddie, it's okay, like I'll help you out. I'm like, I'm going in your bones and I'm like making it better. Like,
Yeah, it was cool.
okay.
It showed like the bone fragments coming back together and
Yeah, I thought that was badass. And then like, basically, I guess when they like the other, like when he's on the ground dying, the other ones, all of them go back in to the truck for some reason. You don't know why. And then it's like they all got called back in. And then there's like a big flash inside the truck, and then like a big boom, and the earth fucking cracks, and like this giant dragon flies out.
yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I love the last like lines of that one. It's like they said something and it's like God is coming.
Yeah, and so
What?
like, what? This dragon thing is a god, or what is he talking about? Issue 2 starts with like Eddie Brock kind of getting healed still by Venom, and he's still laying there, and that's where it shows like Venom's going through like all his little wherever he got fucked up, and it shows him going through like the blood cells and rejuvenating them, and then his heart, he actually squeezes it like, come on, buddy, you can do it, buddy. So he actually brings him back to life. And then Venom's pissed now because he's like, it was like a trap or some shit. And he goes back to Rex and like he's like, what the fuck? And then he like can't control himself. He starts to craze out or whatever. Like, so he gets that spiral on his face and he starts attacking Rex. And Rex basically has to fight him with the fire. Like he like gets him, he flies open the like Freddy Krueger furnace or whatever, and then like it kind of burns Venom a little bit, and that kind of shocks him back into not being crazy.
He's like, who are you really? You're like, why did this happen? Why did you send me to do this? He's like, well, let me tell you, back in Nam.
Yeah, and then there's like a whole Nam flashback, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool. And they go over like what the program was and how it happened and all this stuff.
Yeah, last thing I remember is napalm, and because I guess he had a Venom. He had a Venom suit too.
Yeah, it just goes through all that, and then like the dragon's attacking the city now. So like, okay, well, we gotta stop the dragon. So, and it's like a Venom dragon. So it's not like a regular dragon. This is like a badass Venom dragon.
So Eddie goes and he's like watching from a little bit far, trying to figure out, I guess, what the best way to do is. And all of a sudden, you just see like, he gets kicked from behind. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's just a great panel of Eddie being like, yeah, let's do this. And then like you just see behind him this spider person swinging towards him. And if you guys know anything, it's not the normal Spider-Man. It's the Miles Morales Spider-Man, which I was surprised because I don't read enough of Marvel to know that Miles Morales is in normal continuity. Last I thought he was from the Ultimate Universe, so which is like a separate universe.
But I guess I think they pulled them over. So.
I guess so. Maybe that must have been what the Spider-Verse comic was about, like all of them going into our continuity.
Whatever our Earth is.
Yeah, and so like that's how the second issue ends with like Miles Morales like right behind him about to hit him or whatever, and you're like, what's gonna happen there? And then like you see like basically Brock's having a vision again. Issue 3 opens up and he's like, I'm lost. Like, I'm inside this prison. What happened? And then he's all like, he like opens his eyes and it's all like spiraling. And so like he knows, oh, he's in like the crazy Venom again. And like it cuts back to the real world. And like Miles Morales is like on the ground. One of his eyes is like one on his costume is like broken. And like he's all beat up and shit. He's like, and you just see like this crazy Venom like about to attack him. And they're, they start fighting. And I don't think Miles Morales knew what was going to happen.
No.
So, but and I forgot this too. Is I don't know enough about Miles Morales, but he has a zapping power,
yeah.
And he like zaps. He grabs the tongue of Venom and he zaps him. And so yeah, like and it's weird because like he says like you asked for this to Venom, and like they don't know. Like Venom's like, who the fuck is this? And then this must have been like right when the Spider-Verse happened, because I don't think Eddie Brock had ever seen him before.
No, but Miles Morales says like like that he knew him, like he hurt his parents. And
yeah, well, I knew in the Ultimate Universe Venom like hurts his parents or does something to his parents, but I haven't read that, so I just knew that just through the word of mouth or whatever. So like Venom is in the Ultimate Universe, so like I guess he thought this was the same Venom or whatever. So Eddie Brock's fighting him, and or like they're punching back and forth and all this shit. Well, Venom is winning, and he's like, don't kill him. I don't want to like kill this kid or whatever. And then like they see the dragon, and they're like, oh yeah, the fucking dragon is killing everything. So like,
That's right. That's what
they,
we were
like,
here for.
team up to fight the dragon. That's why, like, before, like, when they're fighting, you hear like Miles say like, you hurt my mom, like you almost killed my dad or whatever. Like, you know, he's all mad at him. So, and this is where you kind of see like they do a close up on the dragon, and you see it's got like the Venom face. So you're like, okay, it is a symbiote dragon somehow. And so they start to fight it, and they're like, how are we gonna get through this thing? Like, and he's like, why don't you just shock him with your, like, you know, super shock power, like just don't hold back at all. And then
he's like, yeah, how am I going to get close enough?
Yeah,
I have to basically be inside.
Yeah, and then Venom's like, hey, like he swings and he like breaks Spider-Man's web so he can't like stop moving forward, and then just gets swallowed by.
Good idea, Spider-Man.
Yeah, he like just gets swallowed by the Venom dragon, which was fun. And then he does like his pulse, you know, and then like his shock, and then it blows the dragon up. We're like, holy shit, like that's crazy, like we did it. And then out of the dragon walks this dude we don't know, and all of a sudden like Venom's like, something's wrong, like I can hear him, and they're like, hear what? It's singing or whatever. And like this guy walks out, and he's got like the Venom, it's not the spider crest, it looks like the spider crest, but it's actually the dragon, because it's got a tail and it's curling down and whatever. So it's on his chest, and he's got kind of armor on, but he's super skinny, and he's got like the head of Miles Morales in his hand, and he's like, does this belong to you, child? And then he throws him at Venom, and then like he's like, I want to see you, like, you know, I want my child to come out or whatever. And so even though he looks like Venom, he means the like crazy one or whatever. So like he pulls the crazy one out, and the crazy one tries to attack him, and then he like beats him right away. He goes like, stop, and he's just like, all of the Venom.
Oh, that was all the Venom just like kind of almost shoots off of Eddie's body,
like pours off of him. Like it's just Eddie talking to this guy now. We get like a whole panel of him being like, you know, like, who are you? And he's like, I am Null, and so like Lord of the Abyss, and it's like billions of years ago, and then it just ends right there. Like it just says like billions of years ago. The god of the symbiotes, and it's just him sitting on like a throne with all these the crazy looking Venoms.
Yeah, like all kind of swirling around him. And this is cool. He kind of reminds me of. He seems kind of anime-ish. He kind of reminded me of like Castlevania.
Yes, he's got like a Castlevania vibe. He kind of looks like a vampire mixed with like Slender Man or something. Like super thin and
super
long-limbed.
thin. I love the really long like claw-ish Lady Deathstrike fingers, and
it's cool. He's got like a good design.
Yeah, for a new character, and like I was saying, anime, because anime is kind of making a really big impact again now.
And that's another thing. Like a lot of people our age grew up with like Dragon Ball and Toonami and stuff, so they actually read Cowboy Bebop and like stuff like that, like growing up. So a lot of those things transfer over into the art now, and and that's like the end of issue 3. It's just him sitting on the chair, like, and it's like, I'm gonna tell you all this stuff, and then it just like ends. It's like billions of years ago, and end of issue 3. So we get like issue 4 starts, you know, billions of years ago. And it's like, in the beginning there was nothing, and then war. And it's like he was around. He was the void, I guess, and like he was just floating around.
Oh yeah, this was really cool too. He's just floating in space, like literally his like almost looking lifeless body. And then the Celestials show up and start making.
Yeah, they start like making the planets and like the universe, and and the Celestials are like these. They look like big robots or something, but like they're like giant gods that like out of their hands. It's very cool the way the guy drew this. Like they have their outstretched hands, and then there's like 3 of them or 4 of them, and then like out of their hands are coming like all the planets and all the different suns and all the, you know, it's a very cool way of showing it. And Null's like, I was mad that they fucked with my area, so like I started trying to fight them, and he like pulls like a sword. And this is like, some of this didn't 100% make sense to me, but I was willing to like give it a pass because it was cool. Was like he just reaches onto one of the gods. And I don't know if it's because it's in the god's hand, and he's able, like the god hand was what was making all the stuff, but he just reaches into the god's hand and he like pulls a sword out, and then he like cuts the god's head off. And so I was like, where? How did he reach into the god's hand?
I assumed he was like his power with the god's power like made like
like he's just able to
sword
do
or
that or
something,
whatever. I don't know exactly how it worked, but okay, we'll buy it. So then like he takes the god's head and he like makes a forge inside of it, and he like starts forging like a better version of that sword. And it says that's like this is where the origin basically of like Venom's traditional fears or whatever, or like where the Achilles heels come from, where like the loud noises, he doesn't like the sound of loud noises, and that's because the hammer as the sword was being forged, and then like the fire from the forge, he doesn't like fire. And so like he even says, and this is interesting because I think this probably comes back later, he says like only like some of my children have this like issue with this stuff, like the weaker ones or something. So I guess Venom is a weaker of the like symbiote race or whatever. So and it's cool, they kind of touch on like the different symbiotes in the Venom movie, which I thought was cool. They kind of like threw that in, even though all this was brand new at the time. Like they're just like, oh yeah, we'll throw in some of that. So then like he goes and he just starts like killing all the gods and all this stuff with this badass sword. The origin is just him like going to planets and like turning them into like corrupting them, and then like they become like with his symbiote. I guess he can like create symbiotes. That's his thing. So it's like he can like anything he touches can like become covered in a symbiote, and then he can control them. So he goes to like a planet with dragons on it, and then now he's got like symbiote dragons, and that's where we get actually the Beowulf stuff actually happened in our past for real. And the thing that was bursting through the door was one of the symbiote dragons.
Yeah, it's the Grendel of the story of Beowulf.
Yes. And then this was cool, I thought. This was super fucking cool. And he's like, no one on Earth could stop me, like none of these humans or whatever. And then he's like, but then something happened. And then like
they're like Beowulf comes, and then this character
Thor shows up. And
he's like, I may not be this Beowulf, but
yeah, but I'm Thor, and I'm fucking awesome, and I have like electricity, which is kind of like super fire, and I can make loud noise, which is scary to some of them. And so he attacks the dragon, and he's able to like electrocute the dragon and like free a bunch of the people that were like under his spell and everything. Like and anybody on the planets that he had conquered that were covered in the symbiote, they all got like released. They rebel against him, the symbiotes, and they surround him in like a planet-size cage. They call the planet Klinktar.
Klinktar, yeah.
Which actually just means cage in their language. It's weird. They don't give like 100% of what actually, like, why did they do that? Like get mad and mutiny against him or whatever, but they do. Like,
I just assume that it was like the hive mind being like, oh, we don't want to be controlled.
Yeah, I guess like some of them had tasted freedom once like Thor had freed some of them, and it was like, no. And then they're like, no, we want freedom. So they wrap him up, and like I said, in this planet size, and it's just the planet is just all of them wrapped around him, like trapping him. So like what they're actually talking to is like just a symbiote version of him or something. I mean, he's real, like he's physical, but he's just like he's one of the dragons that was around that he can still control like from inside the world. Yeah, like the prison that he's in. So yeah, and then like basically he's telling this to Venom, and he's like, now I'm gonna like take over Earth. All he needs to do is absorb the last of the free symbiotes, which is like Venom and Carnage, I'm assuming, and whoever else. And then once he does that, he can like get out of the cage, because like now they're all under his control, and he can like get out from that cage, and then he's gonna build his Dark Kingdom again, and he's gonna start with Earth, he says. And Spider-Man wakes up right at the end of this and punches him in the goddamn face.
Punches him in the face.
And so Miles Morales is like, what's going on? Like we have to get the fuck out of here. And then like he's like, where the hell are we? And they open up, he tears an opening, and it turns out they're like in the dragon flying. They're like in the chest of the dragon. And he like is about to be out in outer space. So like super high above the earth. And I thought this part was pretty funny. And so like that's like the last scene you see is the dragon and he's above Earth and like holy shit. God. Yeah. And then issue 5 starts off and they're just falling. And they're like, what the hell's going up? And like Miles Morales is like, wake up, Eddie, please wake up. I need you. I need your help. Please wake up. And then like Eddie's like, what's going on? He like looks, he's like, what the hell? And he's like, why are we doing this? And Miles goes, yeah, it was this or be in the belly of the symbiote dragon heading into space. I made a call, you know, like, so they basically just jumped out like at, 30,000 feet or some shit like crazy. And, he's able to like Eddie's. It's weird now that like they know this now. Venom and Eddie are kind of like, okay, like we're working together now better. I'm not gonna go crazy. And I have now that he knows his like I think it's like now that he's been in connection with Null and stuff, and he's felt the what's it called, like the connection of all the other symbiotes. He's not alone anymore. Now he has more powers. Yeah. He says. Yeah,
basically he's gotten stronger because of that. But like. They also like Noel also says that like part of the reason Venom's weak is he's been away for too long. He's seen the light, he calls it. So like I guess being away from the abyss of
the hive
mind is like is being in the light, which is to become weak and useless to
right. So like basically now Venom has like more control or different control over his suit. So he makes like these big dragon wings and he like flies away with them. And he's like, whoa, that was close. Now they're like, okay, we kind of understand some things. Then like Miles Morales goes away and Eddie and Venom just kind of talk about like, okay, now we know more about what's going on and we felt connected. So now what's going to happen is we have to figure out where Null's going to go next. And then he's like, oh wait, we know where Null's going to go next. He's trying to find the other symbiotes to like get them all together. And he's going to talk to Rex. Or he's going to go after Rex. So they're like, okay, Rex, we got to get Rex. And so they go back to Rex and they've put it together like, okay, he's a symbiote. But they didn't say that yet to the reader. And so I think as it was a big reveal that Rex is a symbiote because like Venom just shoots a spike through Rex's head. And he's like, it's you. Like, you're the one, you're the loose symbiote that like he needs right now or whatever. So like that's the big reveal was that Rex was actually symbiote the whole time, which I actually had thought was already a thing.
I mean, he said he was part of that program, but the only thing that kind of threw you for that is that like when he was holding Venom down, I mean, he's obviously close enough to the vibration and fire and nothing happened to him.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know why that was like why he could do that, but this was like a big reveal in the comic, which I guess I'd already thought was a thing. Because when I read it, I was like, didn't we already know this? Or no, I guess not. I don't know. I figured it out on accident, I guess. Just assuming in my head, oh, I guess that guy's a symbiote because he had a symbiote from war or whatever. Yeah. He tells him, like, yeah, Null he's going to take over the Earth or whatever. So what we need to do is, like, combine. If we can combine, like your symbiote and my symbiote, we can have a chance to take him on.
Oh, and that was the thing is that Rex was just the symbiote basically in the form of him. Like there was no physical body for Rex.
Oh, okay.
So that was, I
missed that.
That was more of the thing. Like the symbiote was taking on the form of Rex.
Oh, okay. Because like in my mind, like reading this, it didn't look like so when it's revealed that he's a symbiote, he doesn't have a face and stuff. So I just thought like, okay, he's just like he was so burned or something from the napalm, like it's just that's what he looked like or whatever. And he uses the symbiote to make his old face when he was like showing him Rex originally. So I just didn't put the two and two together. I was just like, yeah, he's got a symbiote, but I didn't realize he is a symbiote.
Yeah,
only.
He just is. Yeah, because when he joins, like there's no Rex body; it's just him. And I thought it was fun. Like they joined together, and so like Eddie hears two voices now.
Yeah, now he gets two voices in his head. Yeah, and it's like he just looks like a cool version of Venom. Like he's got like little spirals out of the corners of his eyes now and stuff, but they're like white spirals, not red spirals. And it just looks a little bit more crazy, like a little bit more exaggerated, and some of like his colors a little bit different in places. Like his back looks more reddish. So yeah, like he's all buff now and he's ready to go take on Null. And this was where you said you liked this cover.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, they're kind of teasing something else.
Yeah,
because basically the issue ends. He's like, oh, we may not be as strong as Thor, but we've got a room full of guns or something.
Yeah. They're like, we got all these guns, and I'm like, how does guns?
I guess that's why I was like, I guess vibration from the guns, or maybe some of these are like laser guns, or
I don't know, but I'm down with it. I like guns. I like big guns in comics and stuff. So sure, why not? And so yeah, they like open the room and it's like full of guns. But yeah, the next, it's funny because the next issue had like a variant cover where it was like looked like Punisher almost, but as Venom, because he's got all these guns and he's got this skull, the Punisher skull, like in the Venom costume on the front instead of the Spider-Man. So they're just kind of alluding to like, oh, Venom's gonna like go hardcore like Punisher or whatever with guns and stuff. And so they confront. They like load up, lock up, and everything. This is like ridiculous. The panel where they show Venom has like, you know, instead of like just picking up a couple things and like carrying them, he just like, I guess like absorbs the guns and weapons.
Yeah, he just like his symbiote suit just starts grabbing, like every inch of his body is like like he holds like a bomb or a gun or a laser beam.
Think like Cable from X-Men in the 90s with every other 90s character with the pouches, except instead of a pouch, there's like a grenade and he's got a sword, he's got a fucking knife, he's got machine guns, he's got one on his shoulder, he's got another one on his shoulder, he's got like 5 of these things all over his back and everything. It's just all over the place. So it's kind of awesome. Like it's like definitely a 90s kid wrote this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like we're having fun. We like the we understand this is like a goofy thing, but like, hey, we're like doing it right, kind of thing. So he's like, okay, let's do it. Let's take on Null. And like they go to this place, and right away they just get like the dragon like bursts out of the ground and it's like, and like tries to attack him. And so yeah, he's like shooting them with lasers and shit. They got like laser guns, of course, somehow. Like he's throwing bombs in them. He's doing all this shit, trying to like blow this thing up, and he does. They throw like so many bombs inside of him, it like kills the dragon, just like Miles Morales did the first time. Or like when I say kill, I mean like just turns him into like goop on the street, but he's still like the symbiote body or whatever. So, and then Null comes out, he's inside of him, and he's like, okay, like time for like a real fight. So then they start fighting Null. Null's like, basically like, I can fucking control you, I can do what I want, you're like nothing. And he like pushes Eddie Brock out of all the Venom suits. So like the new Venom suit and the old, with both of them in there. And Null's like starting to absorb the suits, and there's all the bombs beeping, and Null kind of thinks he's won, but Eddie looks at him and he says, it's not a symbiote, it's a coffin. And then it just like completely I don't know if they're bombs, but they're like electrocution,
some kind of
like devices or whatever, and they just all go off at once and electrocute the fuck out of Null. And then it's cool because like he actually like turns into a skeleton-ish, like his face gets all like skeleton-y and everything, and then like Venom's able to like get free of that, and then he's like goes back on Eddie.
Yeah, but just Venom too. They're like, where's Rex? And because he's like, I don't know, I don't see him, I don't feel him.
Right. Null comes back and he's like, I'm your god, like you can't destroy me, like how dare you. They're like the only thing we have, because they're back at Rex's place is where all this happened. So they got the Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Furnace.
It's like that's all we have left. Like,
yeah, it's like just open the door, like shove him in. He's like weak now or whatever. So they open it and like he throws him in and he's trying to hold him in. Venom's like, oh my back, I can't do this because like the fire's hurting me. And he's like, just go, like I'll hold it. Like so there's like this touching moment between him and Venom where he's like, it's okay, buddy, I'll hold it for you, man. Like, and you see Eddie Brock is just like his whole back's on fire and he's holding the door closed, and like Venom's like, you're burning, Eddie.
Yeah, I can't get inside you and keep you alive long enough.
Yeah. He's like, you just have to keep me alive long enough to like kill this son of a bitch. So like keeps the door closed, and finally he like lets go, but then like he's not connected to Venom, and it just like this book ends on a cliffhanger where he's like, it just says like it was too much, we were still connected, I should have told you. And then Eddie's like, what? And he's like, I love you, Eddie.
Yeah.
It's like a very touching moment. And he's like I can't hear you, where? And like so the I love you, Eddie was like it's kind of like this is weird, but it's kind of like Hal from 2001, where he's like, "What are you doing, Dave? I can't talk anymore." Like, like it's like that kind of thing. And then Eddie's like, "I can't hear you," and he's like, "Where did you go?" And he's just like laying. He's all burned, like his whole back's all burned. He's laying in like I guess like a puddle of the Venom suit because it's just all melted or whatever, and you assume dead. And that's where this fucking ends. And that's the. I mean, me and John were talking about this beforehand, but like that's the only thing that sucks about this trade is there's no like conclusive ending or whatever. It just like leaves you on
read more.
Yeah, you just leaves you on a cliffhanger. So, and that's because this was actually the series of Venom that came out in 2018. So there's no, it's just an ongoing series. So it's not like a single trade with a story. But this was a great fucking beginning to a series. So
yeah, I had a lot of fun reading it, and I will probably continue this one. Actually, I think I might.
Well, we might want to. I mean, I'm down to keep doing them.
Oh yeah, I guess if y'all like it too, then I mean we can read the rest for the podcast too. So
yeah, if you guys want to read them, or if you guys want us to read them, just like let us know, and we'll like go through them because we like this one a lot. So
yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
The only other thing I really liked is when they were all three together, Rex, Venom, and Eddie. I love that Rex was kind of like, he got on as soon as he was kind of trying to psychoanalyze Eddie. He's like, "Oh, I see what's going on here between you two. Eddie, you just don't want to be alone. And so like Venom is kind of like a crutch for you now, and blah, blah, blah." And like, so, and they're going to fight Null, and he's like, "Don't psychoanalyze me right now. Like,
yeah,
let's just like get this job done."
This is not the time to do this.
So that was a little fun little added dimension to it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from this, I would read pretty much anything else. I would give anything else Donny Cates wrote a try, because like this was fun. It was new. It was inventive. I think he's on Thor now. Like he's writing Thor. So,
okay.
And I think all of this is kind of tying together. But we do want to read, I think in a couple weeks, we're going to read the Absolute Carnage, which was an event that he wrote that had to do, it ties into all this stuff, but we're just going to skip all the shit that that's after this in the Venom book and just jump straight to the Absolute Carnage. See what that's like. We'll do that, and that'll kind of, if you guys want more Venom and stuff, you let us know, and we'll like continue with this storyline and whatnot. But for now, we got Absolute Carnage coming up in the future, and then I don't know, what would you give this one, John?
It was good. Like I said, it was a fun story. The writing was solid. The art was wonderful. I really liked it. It was, I'd seen the photos and pop figures of the Spiral Venom, and I was always curious about it, but I hadn't like really reached out for it yet. So it was fun to like put everything together finally, and then like see this new take. And I really liked the bringing of the Beowulf story and like having that have a purpose in the Marvel universe. Like that was really fun.
Yeah,
I'd say overall, I'd probably give it an 8.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 7. I don't think it was very readable. It's groundbreaking because it is like, okay, we have like an origin story and stuff, but it's not like my kind of character. Like it's not my favorite thing. I like Venom, but it's not like I don't know. Something about it's just like maybe because it's related to Spider-Man. I don't give a fuck about Spider-Man. I don't know. It's not my story necessarily, but he's a good enough writer that I'm interested in see where it goes. But like, yeah, this was like groundbreaking. It told the story of like, okay, this is why Venom has these, weaknesses, and why, here's Null. Here's like a brand new villain that's like the god of the symbiotes, and like, what's his deal? And there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So, and then they tied in Viking shit, which is always fun. Yeah. So 7 from me, 8 from John. I believe next week, in order to celebrate Pride Month, we're going to read Fun Home, which is like an indie graphic novel that came out maybe like, I don't know, 20 years ago now. But yeah, like it's touted as one of those like amazing indie graphic novels you should read. So yeah, we're going to read that. So if you guys want to read along with us, and we're doing that one. So on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planes, trains, and comic books, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget to check out our Twitter and our Instagram and our YouTube. Matt's finally just started putting up. He's doing some reviews of actual like the hardcover copies of books. So like,
yeah, like should you buy this hardcover?
Yeah, is it worth the $60?
Yeah, and we actually did the first one I did was Planet Hulk because we read Planet Hulk for the podcast last week, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll just read my hardcover of it. And I was like, you know what? It'd be fun to do like reviews of the hardcovers themselves. Like, is it worth the $30 or $40 or whatever for this hardcover? So, yeah, check those out. We have all the podcasts up on YouTube too, so you can just listen to them and see some of the artwork. We like try to throw in the actual pages from the comics and stuff on there. So, yeah. With that said, we'll see you guys later
on the next one.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.